Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
Absolutely. And today we've got quite a mix. We're looking at everything from who really controls your devices and data, all the way up to some pretty big corporate moves and even stuff happening beyond Earth.
Yeah, lots to unpack.
Our goal really is just to dig through it all and
Uh-huh.
let the most interesting, maybe surprising bits for you.
We'll hit some wins for consumers like, better EV prices and a watch you can actually fix yourself, which is rare these days. But we're also going to dive into how AI is getting smarter at navigating the web, maybe a little too smart, and what's going on when big tech companies start, funding things like White House ballrooms.
Right. A lot happening behind the scenes.
Okay, let's start with some new gear. And this one leans heavily into AI, but also has this interesting hardware angle, the Google Pixel Watch 4.
Yeah, the new Pixel Watch.
So on the surface, you've got the expected upgrades, brighter screen, this actual 360 domed display hits 3,000 nits, apparently.
Yeah.
A bit more screen space, better haptics, too.
Standard iterative stuff, mostly. But the design philosophy is where it gets interesting.
The repairability part.
Exactly. Google's making a point of calling it a serviceable design. They're saying you, the user, can replace the display, the battery, yourself.
And it doesn't void the warranty.
That's the claim, which is, pretty significant. It feels like more than just a nod to the right to repair folks. It's strategic.
How so?
Well, think about all the regulatory pressure building up around repairability in Europe and the U.S. By doing this proactively with a flagship product.
They get ahead of it. Looks good, pleases consumers, maybe dodges some future mandates.
Precisely. It ticks a few boxes at once.
Okay, that makes sense. And beyond the hardware, the AI is baked in pretty deep, right? With Gemini?
Oh, yeah, heavily integrated. Voice commands for fitness stuff seem seamless, like start my run or pause my run. And it's using a small language model right there on the watch for personalized text replies. So it learns your style, suggests relevant responses quickly.
On device, that's key for speed and maybe privacy.
That's key for speed and maybe privacy.
Right. And that fitness focus is strong overall. They're really positioning it as a serious competitor for runners. Customizable workouts, advanced form analysis.
Though that takes a couple of weeks to calibrate, I saw. Needs data.
Yeah. 14 days of data needed for the form analysis to really dial in.
Yeah.
But connecting this to the bigger picture, the emergency satellite comms feature is a standout.
For safety, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're out of cell range.
Exactly. For hikers, trail runners, anyone off-grid, that's not just a feature, it's potentially life-saving, a genuine safety upgrade.
Okay, so from your wrist, let's shift to the driveway. Tesla made some waves with pretty aggressive price cuts on the Model Y and Model 3.
Big news there. Suddenly, the standard Model Y is under $40,000, $39,990. And the Model 3 is even lower, $36,990.
Wow, that's a significant drop. What's the catch? What did they cut to get there? Well, that's the key question, right? It's clearly a push for more volume, maybe hitting certain market segments.
They kept the core stuff, though. Driving, range, supercharging.
Yeah, the fundamentals seem untouched. Same basic design, same driving feel, still getting that 321 miles of range, and crucial for Tesla, the fast supercharging access. You can still get like 160, 170 miles of range in 15 minutes.
Okay, so what's missing?
It's mostly the, let's call them premium comforts and amenities. The interior is cloth now, not the synthetic leather.
Okay.
Fewer speakers, maybe less soundproofing, so likely a bit noisier inside. And things like seat and steering wheel adjustments are manual now, controlled through the screen, not physical power buttons.
Cost-saving measures. What about the back seat? And that glass roof on the Y?
No rear screen anymore, no heated rear seats, though the Model Y keeps heated front seats. And yeah, the Model Y's glass roof is still there physically, but it's now covered internally by a fabric headliner, so you don't get that open, airy feel from inside.
And a big one, they cut auto steer, right? Just kept the adaptive cruise control.
Correct. Traffic-aware cruise control is standard. But auto steer, the lane-keeping part of autopilot, is out on these base models. It's a calculated trade-off. Sacrifice some niceties, maybe even a core software feature like auto steer, to hit that magic sub-$40 price point. They're betting those cuts won't deter enough buyers.
Interesting strategy. Okay, speaking of things being phased out.
Yeah.
You mentioned the 4G network situation, T-Mobile's plans.
Yes, the 4G sunset, or maybe more accurately, the 4G dimming. Reports suggest T-Mobile is planning to start phasing out its 4G LTE and also its 5G non-standalone, or NSA, network starting around 2026.
Okay, wait, 5G NSA, what's that versus regular 5G?
Good question. So 5G NSA was the initial way carriers rolled out 5G. It uses the 5G radio frequencies for speed, but it still relies on the older 4G core network for things like connecting the call, managing the session. It's kind of like putting a faster engine in an old car chassis.
Gotcha. So what's the alternative?
That's 5G standalone, or 5G SA. It uses both the 5G radios and a new dedicated 5G core network. This is the true 5G experience. Lower latency, better efficiency, enables more advanced features like network slicing.
So T-Mobile wants to move spectrum from the older stuff to boost the new 5G SA.
Exactly. They want to refarm those older frequency bands, specifically bands 2, 466, 12, and some of 71, take them away from 4G, 5G NSA, and dedicate them purely to 5G SA to improve its speed and capacity.
What does this mean for users? Do older phones stop working?
And not immediately. Most phones bought in the last, say, 3-4 years are 5G capable, often supporting both NSA and SA. Yeah. For those users, this transition should actually mean better, faster 5G performance over time. 4G LTE itself isn't vanishing overnight. It'll likely stick around until maybe 2035 for older devices, IoT stuff, things like that. But its performance will degrade significantly as spectrum gets moved over. So the message is clear. The future is 5G SA, and the transition is actively happening now.
All right, let's pivot hard now into the world of AI. It's getting really good, maybe disturbingly good, at acting like a human online. We're talking software agents that don't need a formal connection, like an API, to use websites.
Yeah, this is pretty fascinating and potentially a bit scary. Google's shown off this capability with its Gemini 2.5 computer use model. There's a research project called Mariner demonstrating it.
So how does it work? It just looks at the screen like we do?
Essentially, yes. It navigates web interfaces visually. It simulates mouse clicks, scrolling, typing into fields, reading text on the page.
Yeah.
All the things a human does to interact with a website or application.
Without needing the website to be built for AI interaction.
Exactly. It bypasses the need for APIs. Think about tasks like filling out a really long, complex insurance application form online, or maybe comparison shopping across multiple sites and adding specific items to a cart. This AI can potentially do that, even on sites not designed for automation.
Okay, the convenience potential is obvious, but the security alarms are going off in my head.
Right. If an AI can interact with any interface, just like a human, think about the potential for misuse if that agent is compromised or malicious. It opens up a whole new way to attack systems or exfiltrate data by automating actions directly through the user interface. It's a massive new attack surface to worry about.
Definitely something to watch. Okay, on a slightly lighter AI note, but still kind of quirky, virtual try-ons are getting more advanced too.
Yeah, Google Shopping is expanding its AI try-on feature. They had apparel, now they're adding shoes, and they're expanding it to Canada, Australia, Japan.
How does the shoe part work? Do you need to send pictures of your feet?
No. That's the funny part. You upload a full-length photo of yourself wearing whatever, and the AI digitally puts the shoes onto your image. But here's the kicker. It generates the feet to fit the shoes and match your pose.
It makes up the feet. Seriously.
Seriously, no actual feet pics required.
Yeah.
Which is probably for the best, honestly. It's a pretty clever bit of generative AI figuring out perspective, lighting, and foot shape just from your overall photo.
Wow. Okay. From generating feet to generating controversy, OpenAI's Sora video tool had a bit of a rough launch, didn't it? With copyright issues.
Oh, yeah, that blew up almost immediately. This is where things get really interesting on the policy front.
What happened?
Well, OpenAI initially launched Sora with a pretty permissive policy. It was basically an opt-out system. If a company didn't want its characters or IP used in Sora's training data or generated videos, they had to specifically tell OpenAI.
And people immediately started generating problematic stuff.
You guessed it.
Yeah.
Within hours, you had examples flooding social media, things like Nazi SpongeBob or Pikachu committing crime, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Clearly showing how easily copyrighted and trademarked characters could be put into, well, any context imaginable using the tool.
Yikes. That sounds like a legal nightmare waiting to happen.
Absolutely. The backlash from creators, right shoulders, and the public was intense and fast. OpenAI had to pivot very quickly.
So they changed the policy.
Yeah, they did. They reversed course and shifted towards a model where right shoulders have more control, needing to essentially opt in or give permission, rather than having to chase OpenAI down to opt out. They tried to frame it as responding to the nuance in user feedback.
But doesn't this constant scramble, launching first and fixing policy later, just show how far ahead the tech is compared to the rules?
It really does. They're constantly playing catch up. They are trying to add safeguards, like letting users put restrictions in their text prompts, you know, don't use my likeness in political videos or things like that.
Hmm.
But the fundamental issue is the sheer, overwhelming demand for compute power that Sora unleashed. Everyone wants to use it. So OpenAI's priority becomes scaling the infrastructure, getting more GPUs, making bigger deals for power and data centers. Policy refinement often feels like it takes a back seat to just keeping the service running and growing. It forces this aggressive deploy now, apologize later kind of approach.
Right. Okay, speaking of tech giants wanting control, Microsoft seems to be tightening the screws on Windows 11 setup, making it harder to avoid using a Microsoft account.
Yeah, they're closing off the workarounds. This is during the initial setup, the out-of-box experience, or OBE. For a while, tech-savvy users knew tricks, like specific commands you could run.
Like that start mscxh.local only command. I remember seeing that online.
That's the one. Those loopholes let you bypass the requirement to sign in with a Microsoft account and connect to the internet, allowing you to create a traditional local-only user account instead.
And now?
Now, Microsoft has officially closed those off in recent Windows 11 builds. The new reality is, if you're doing a clean install, you will need an internet connection, and you will need to sign in with or create a Microsoft account to complete the setup.
What's their justification?
They claim it's to ensure users don't skip critical setup screens and have a smoother onboarding. But for privacy advocates, or just people who prefer local accounts, it's seen as another step towards mandatory online integration and data collection. The era of easy local-only setup is officially over for standard installs.
And that push towards mandatory online accounts makes data leaks even more concerning, right? Like that big VTEX one recently.
Absolutely. Tying more of your core OS experience to an online account increases the potential impact when breaches happen. And yeah, the VTEX leak was massive.
Remind us what happened there. It affected some big brands.
It did. VTEX is a huge e-commerce platform provider. They handle the back end for online stores for massive companies, Walmart, Sony, Samsung, many others, across like 38 countries.
Okay.
And what happened was a cloud storage container, basically a big online folder, was misconfigured. It was left without any password protection, completely open to the public internet for over 6 months.
Oh, wow. And what kind of data was in there?
Well, that's the really bad part. It contained data for over 6 million shoppers. We're talking emails, full names, physical addresses, phone numbers, and detailed purchase histories. Everything an attacker needs to look legitimate.
So if you might have been affected, maybe you shopped online at one of these big stores. What's the main risk now? What should you be watching out for?
The biggest risk, by far, is highly targeted phishing attacks. Scammers now have your real name, address, email, and know what you recently bought from, say, Walmart or Sony.
So they can craft very convincing fake emails.
Exactly. Expect emails or texts that look incredibly real, maybe claiming there's a problem with a recent delivery or offering a special discount based on your past purchases. They'll use the leaked info to make it seem specific to you. So the actionable takeaway is extreme vigilance. Question any unexpected communication about orders or accounts, even if it looks perfect. Go directly to the company's website yourself. Don't click links in emails.
Good advice. Okay, let's shift one last time to policy and regulation. Sometimes it's not about massive data leaks, but just annoyances, like loud ads on streaming.
Yes, the Quiet Ad Law in California, SB 76. It's actually a great example of policy driven by everyday frustration.
What does it do?
Starting in July 2026, you will make it illegal for streaming services, think Hulu, YouTube with ads, the Netflix ad tier, to have their advertisements be significantly louder than the show or movie you're actually watching.
Finally, where did that idea come from?
Apparently, the direct inspiration was a legislative staffer whose baby kept getting woken up by blaringly loud ad during quiet scenes in shows. Practical problem, practical solution.
Love it. Now, that's state level. But when we talk about federal regulation, especially antitrust stuff aimed at big tech, the corporate responses get, well, more complex, like making big donations.
Right. We've seen this pattern, especially with companies facing major regulatory scrutiny or needing government approval for things like big mergers, think Netflix, Amazon, Disney. They've made substantial contributions, sometimes framed as donations to groups like America 250, which is organizing the U.S. semi-quincentennial celebration.
Trying to curry favor while under the microscope.
It certainly looks that way. It's about building goodwill, getting access, maybe softening the regulatory stance. It's influence-seeking, plain and simple.
And maybe the most blatant example of that recently was the whole YouTube settlement with Donald Trump. That ended up funding a ballroom.
That was. Quite something. Yeah, YouTube settled a First Amendment lawsuit Trump had brought against them for $24.5 million. But the really unusual part was where the money was directed.
Straight to the White House.
Essentially, yes. It was earmarked specifically to help finance the construction of a new 900-seat ballroom pavilion on the White House grounds.
So a tech giant settles a lawsuit by paying for a president's pet project.
That's how it appears. And analysts see this kind of thing funding these highly visible, you could say, vanity projects as a strategic play, especially for companies like Google Alphabet, which owns YouTube, and is facing 2 massive antitrust lawsuits from the Department of Justice right now.
They're hoping this buys them some leniency.
The thinking is it might create political capital, make the administration less inclined to push for the harshest remedies, like breaking up the company, which is on the table in the ad tech trial. It's a way to potentially sidestep tougher antitrust actions by offering something tangible and, frankly, flattering to those in power, a multi-million-dollar political calculation.
Wow. That's a lot of tangled tech and politics. Let's zoom out now, maybe cleanse the palate with some fundamental science that actually underlies all this stuff. How about the origins of quantum computing?
Good idea. A reminder of where the really deep breakthroughs come from. We just saw the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics awarded for work that's foundational to today's quantum efforts.
That went to John Clark, Michel Dvorak, and John Martinis for work back in the 80s.
That's right. Their crucial contribution was experimentally proving that a quantum mechanical phenomenon called quantum tunneling could occur in a specially designed electrical circuit.
Quantum tunneling. That's the weird thing where particles can sort of pass through barriers they shouldn't have enough energy to overcome, right? Like phasing through a wall.
Exactly. It's purely a quantum effect. They built a circuit using superconductors materials with 0 electrical resistance and were able to measure tiny currents caused by particles tunneling across an insulating barrier within that circuit.
Okay, cool physics experiment. But
Yeah.
how does that connect to my Pixel Watch or AI?
Well, that's the critical link. Yeah. Understanding and eventually controlling quantum effects like tunneling at the micro level is fundamental to how modern transistors work. The tiny switches inside the chips that power your watch, your phone, the servers running Gemini AI, their operation relies on quantum principles that these guys helped prove and understand decades ago.
So that 80s physics research literally paved the way.
It absolutely did. Without that foundational understanding of quantum behavior in circuits, we wouldn't have the nanoscale transistors we rely on today, nor will we be able to even conceive of building complex quantum computers, which are the next evolution of exploiting these effects. It all connects back.
Incredible. Okay, for our final aha moment, let's go even bigger picture. Way out into space, to an ancient visitor from another star system.
Yeah, let's talk about Comet 3I Atlas. The I stands for interstellar, meaning it didn't originate in our solar system. It came from somewhere else entirely.
And it just zipped through.
Exactly. It was moving way too fast for our sun's gravity to capture it, just passing through. But incredibly, the European Space Agency's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter, which is circling Mars, managed to snap a picture of it.
From Mars orbit. That must have been tough. Comets aren't exactly bright, especially interstellar ones from far away.
Extremely tough. They said it was something like 10,000 to 100,000 times fainter than the usual atmospheric phenomena they study around Mars. It was passing about 19 million miles from Mars at the time, which sounds far, but cosmically speaking, that's a pretty decent flyby.
So what did they learn from that faint picture? Anything surprising?
Yeah, this is the really cool part. By analyzing the faint light reflected off the comet's dust, they found its composition was surprisingly normal. It looked very similar to the comets that were born in our own solar system.
Huh. So interstellar comets aren't made of exotic alien stuff.
Apparently not this one, anyway. It's just that the basic ingredients and processes for building comets, and by extension, planets and solar systems, might be pretty universal across the galaxy. The same basic recipe might be everywhere.
And how old was this comet?
Yeah, this estimates put it at over 7 billion years old.
7 billion? That's way older than our solar system.
Almost twice as old. Our solar system's about 4.5 billion years old. So this thing formed around another star long, long ago and has been wandering interstellar space ever since, carrying clues about the early universe.
Wow. Okay, my head is spinning a bit. We went from the tiny details of fixing a Pixel Watch 4 and the annoyance of Windows 11 account setups, all the way up to big tech, maybe trying to buy influence with White House ballrooms, and then out to a 7-billion-year-old interstellar snowball. Quite the journey.
It really covers the spectrum, doesn't it? But if you tie it all together, maybe building on that quantum physics point and the ancient comet,
Yeah.
it makes you think. The most advanced technologies we're grappling with today, the AI agents, the quantum computers we're trying to build, they didn't just appear. They have roots in fundamental scientific discoveries made decades ago, often by people just trying to understand how the universe works, like measuring tunneling currents or analyzing faint comet light. So the provocative thought maybe to leave you with is this. The next huge technological leap, the thing that will seem like magic in 2050, probably isn't being developed in a flashy tech lab right now. It might be based on some obscure physics paper published last year or some astronomical observation that seems purely academic today. The seeds of the future are often planted long before we realize it.
That's a great thought to end on. Food for thought, indeed. Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.